Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Philip Selway, back here on Finest Hour, bringing a hint of Oxford to this small corner of Manchester, whilst Guy Garvey is away. I hope you've had a great week and have been able to bask a bit in the summer sunshine. If not, then never fear, as there's more than enough sunshine stored up into today's playlist to make up for it. We have music from, amongst others, Wolf Alice, Cocteau Twins, Holly Herndon, Betty Levette, and also a special sneak peek at a new, as yet unreleased track from Lou Rhodes. We'll also be hearing from Beccapedia, and then later in the show we'll be rescuing another castaway left stranded by Kirsty Young on Desert Island Discs. So we open the show with Smashing Pumpkins and Today, and next we have Corner Shop and Brimful of Asher. Yes, everybody needs a bosom for a pillow. I'll second that. That was Corner Shop and Brimful of Asher, the Norman Cook remix. Now, when it comes to putting these playlists together, I must confess to being a bit of a musical magpie. That is, if I ever hear a sparkly tune that someone else is playing, then I'll nab it and try to pass it off as my own discovery. This next song came into the show by that route. It's from an artist, Anne Brun, that my wife, Kate, has been listening to a lot recently. She's got fantastic taste in music, so when I heard this track, I thought I'd have it for myself. And you, of course. This is Anne Brun and Directions. That was Anne Brun and Directions. I know Record Store Day was a couple of months ago, but it can't be said often enough how great it is to have a good and knowledgeable records shop where you live. In Oxford, we've got a great one called Truck Store, and I was in there earlier this week getting suggestions for today's show, and so I'll try to include some of those in the next couple of hours. To get the ball rolling, though, here's one from them. This is Wolf Alice with a track I keep misreading as You're a Gem. Actually, the track is called You're a Germ, which is a whole different sentiment. Wolf Alice and You're a Gem. This next song is one that I hum to myself as I sling my man bag over my shoulder and sashay out of the house. This is the legendary Muddy Waters and Mannish Boy.
Oh, yeah.
That was the Beat and Doors of Your Heart. My 14-year-old son asked me the other day what my favourite band was when I was his age. Well, that actually was them, and happens to be one of my all-time favourite bands, The Beat. So, what could be better for a summer's day than listening to the absolute master of drums? No, not me, but I appreciate you thinking it anyway. I'm talking about Art Blakey and his percussion ensemble. This is them performing Cubano Chant. That was the Art Blakey Percussion Ensemble and Cubano Chant. Still much great music to come up in the show, so I hope you can stay with me. There are tracks from Supergrass, from James Yorkston, a poem from Lem Sissay, and also we have the Beccapedia entry coming up fairly shortly, so I hope you can hang around. All that great music coming up after the 6 Music News.
6 Music. This is
That was Hoover Dam by Sugar, and before that it was a track called River by Ibeyi. I recently took my sons to see the film San Andreas. For those of you who haven't seen it, the film is a disaster movie which follows a character played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as he rides the aftermath of a cataclysmic earthquake on the west coast of the States. Spoiler alert. One of the early scenes sees the Hoover Dam burst open. That scene prompted an earworm, and that's why I included the song Hoover Dam by Sugar. It's out of my system now. I thought that presenting Finest Hour might give me the inside track on the identity of international woman of mystery, Beccapedia. No such luck. Well, here she is, like the Stig of arcane music that she is. Now then.
Every few...
Thanks to Beccapedia. That was Fairground Attraction and Whispers. As it happens, I once went to a school called Whispers, and as the name suggests, it wasn't exactly for aspiring alpha types, which probably accounts for a lot of me, I suspect. Anyway, I've got a list here of fairground attraction-related facts. Number 1 is that I once got to work with their drummer, Roy Dodds. Excellent player and a lovely man. Number 2, I'm appearing on the same bill as their lead singer, Eddie Reader, in a couple of weeks at the Underneath the Stars Festival in Cawthorne, just outside Barnsley, which leads me quite neatly to the next track. For one night only, at that festival, I'll be playing with musician, label owner of Bella Union, and DJ extraordinaire Simon Raymond. To place him fully in context, here's some of his early work. This is Cocteau Twins and Ice Blank Luck. That was Holly Herndon and Morning Sun. At the top of the show, I talked about bringing a hint of Oxford to this tiny corner of Manchester. Well, this next track upgrades that hint to a full-on statement. This is one of Oxford's finest. This is Supergrass and Pumping on Your Stereo.
Can you hear us?
I know I'm biased, but I think you can't beat a singing drummer, and that was undoubtedly one of the best. That was Levon Helm and the band, and the night they drove Old Dixie down. So, for this next track, I'd urge you to lie back and let the song wash over you. Apologies to those of you who are driving at the moment. This is the wonderful Woozy with Cider from Scotland's greatest troubadour, James Yorkston. Now, take a deep breath, become aware of your surroundings, and open your eyes. That was James Yorkston and Woozy with Cider. Next, I've got something a bit special from Lou Rhodes. While she's been back out with Lamb over this past year, she's also found time to work on her next solo record. This is still a work in progress, although not far off being finished. What I've heard of it so far is amazing, so I was really excited when Lou agreed to let us have a sneak peek at one of the tracks. This is Lou Rhodes and the as yet unreleased track Sea Organ.
All of this time are all one.
Wonderful. Can't wait to hear the finished album. That was Lou Rhodes and Sea Organ. When Radiohead was first signed, we all lived together in a house in Oxford. As you might expect, it was a bit like the Monkees, but with fewer laughs. Happy times. Here are the Monkees with I'm Not Your Stepping Stone. That was the Monkees and Stepping Stone. As I'm coming to you from Manchester, I thought I'd take a moment to reflect on some Manchester-related news. As you may have heard, a week ago, Manchester University held elections for their new Chancellor. They chose the poet Lem Sissay over luminaries such as Peter Mandelson and Sir Mark Elder. Good choice, I'd say. Here's Lem Sissay doing what he does best, performing one of his poems called Stoned on the Wall.
Remember.
That was Jimmy Cliff and Many Rivers to Cross. And before that, Stoned on the Wall, a poem written and performed by Lem Sissay.
Six music.
What's great music?
This next track is from the musician, songwriter and actress Aziza Brahim. This is from her album Sutak, and the track is called G'day Musique. That was Aziza Brahim and G'day Musique. Now, the world would definitely be a poorer place without this next band. This is Clinic and Walking with Thee. That was Jessica Hoop and Murder of Birds. And before that, it was a Northern Soul classic, Betty Levette and Let Me Down Easy. For those of you that might be missing the honeyed voice of Guy Garvey this afternoon, well, there he was. He was the guest vocalist there on their Jessica Hoop song. Last week, I fessed up on the show to my pre-gig routine of listening to Desert Island Discs before I go out and play. It accounts for a lot, I suppose. Well, I've been rummaging around in the Desert Island Discs archive again, and this week I want to revisit the episode with Professor Tanya Byron. She's a clinical psychologist, writer, television and radio presenter, and author of an amazing book called The Skeleton Cupboard. The book is an autobiographical account of her training as a clinical psychologist, and if you haven't read it yet, I'd highly recommend it. Now, she has many important things to say about the mental health and well-being of teenagers and young adults, and also about education. And these are topics that I'm sure will be close to the hearts of many of us. So here she is in her own words, Tanya Byron.
Do you keep in contact with people that you've helped as teenagers?
That was Uncertain Smile by The. And that was the choice of Tanya Byron on her Desert Island discs. Next, we have a song from Everything, Everything. This is Zero Pharaoh. That was Zero Pharaoh by Everything, Everything, fresh from their appearance at Glastonbury last weekend. Next up, it's The Who, with a track from a time when a Sunday headline slot at Glastonbury would have seemed light years away. This is I Can See for Miles. Elliott Smith and Pitzela. That's almost it from me today. I'll be back here, same time, same seat next week. Next up is Jarvis Cocker and his Sunday service. Thank you for listening, and it's been an absolute pleasure choosing music for you again. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu. I'll leave you with Stevie Wonder and Signed, Sealed, Delivered.